Hello and welcome to Out and About Art, your PGTV source for all things art in Polk County. I'm your host, Dion Spires. April was Autism Awareness Month, and our Imperial Symphony Orchestra did their part in raising awareness through their annual cookie concert. 10-year-old piano prodigy Jacob Velazquez was invited to perform a selection of pieces for an audience filled with kids his own age. Jacob was diagnosed with a high-functioning autism at a young age and currently uses his talent on the piano to show how music has impacted his life. He aims to show that autism does not define you as a person and that he's just like any other kid. It was an inspiring evening. Check out this package to find out more about his story and that event.
The Imperial Symphony Orchestra does an annual cookie concert, and we really do it every year. And for many years, we've been supported by public supermarkets, charities, and effectively, it's a family concert. It's part of what the ISO does as a free family concert every year. And it's designed to introduce children to not only the symphony orchestra, but also the musical instruments within the symphony orchestra. We have what we call affectionately an instrument petting zoo, where the kids can touch and try and blow into a clarinet or draw a bow across a stringed instrument, and they love it. It's a little cacophonous, but it's always a ton of fun. And we have an amazing waveform demonstration where John Iskra, who's an ISO bassoonist but also a science teacher, teaches how sound waves are energy and move through the air to reach our ears, and it kind of draws that connection between music and science, which is something the symphony is always working to do. So following those activities, we have an amazing concert, and it's fine for you to dance in the aisles or make a little bit of noise. It's a more relaxed atmosphere. We keep the lights up so that parents can keep an eye on their kiddos. There are crayons and coloring sheets so that it doesn't have to feel as though it's an intimidating environment. Our goal is to make the symphony accessible. For this cookie concert, the ISO brought Jacob Velazquez from South Florida. Jacob is an amazing young man. He's a very talented musician. When we listened to his videos and heard some of the press about him, we knew that he was a perfect fit for the cookie concert. Typically that's held in the spring, and so knowing that April is Autism Awareness Month and Jacob is a young man with autism who uses his abilities to showcase how autism makes people special. And so we really wanted for him to be able to speak to the kids in addition to performing and showing what an amazing talent he is.
Jacob used to sit on my lap when he was young, and I used to just dabble on the keys, and he would press the keys at times, but more often than he would just look and watch. And there were times I wondered if he was grasping any of it.
I saw my dad playing piano, and it was really inspiring.
My husband was at work, and I heard the song coming from the piano that my husband was playing the night before, and I thought, who's here? And because my husband's, one of his older sons plays as well, and so I thought, who's here? And I just was confused. My husband was at work, so I went to the piano to see who it was, and it was Jacob. And he was 3, just turning 4, and I was like, oh my gosh, Jacob, that's you? And he just looked up and smiled. And then I called my husband right away and was like, you have to hear this. Jacob's playing the song you played last night. So then we started looking for a piano teacher, and we were searching for someone local that could help him. And no one at the time that we could find locally would take a 3 going on 4-year-old. But we just kept looking and looking, and finally we found a place that was about 30 minutes from us. And so we just started taking him once a week to start.
I think the lessons definitely help for him to be able to learn the theory or somewhat more the notes and scales, to be able to coordinate his fingering properly. But Jacob has a really good ear. So even just prior to lessons, I started noticing that he was playing, such as the song that I was playing prior to that. Just things that he'd hear on the radio or the television. When he started lessons, he was just turning 4, and he was being taught naturally the basics, but he was going through song, at such a rapid rate. The books, he was flying through these books, like where it would take the average child to learn one song. He was learning 10 songs within a book within, 3 weeks' time. Jacob was diagnosed with autism. He was 4 years of age. It was heartbreaking, because as a parent, we don't want anything to be wrong with our children, of course, naturally. It took a little while to digest it. Then we realized, my wife and I came to an understanding that we came to a point where we decided to focus more on Jacob's abilities rather than the diagnosis.
When Jacob was first diagnosed, it was a very difficult time, and all I could think about was his diagnosis. I saw him differently. I looked at him as a boy with autism now. I didn't see Jacob the way that I used to. And so one day when I was sitting watching him play, it occurred to me that I should be focusing on his abilities and not so much on his diagnosis. And so that was a big turning point for me. And so that's what I would recommend, is just trying to put your energy into finding their gift and finding the things they're interested in. And also, of course, the early interventions are so important. Studies have shown how important early intervention is. So just try to put all those feelings into moving forward and helping your child.
I'm really excited to show people that just because you have autism doesn't mean you're not smart, talented, and capable of great things. But it does mean we are unique, different, and very, very cool. To quote my friend and favorite artist Taylor Swift, if you're lucky enough to be different, don't ever change.
We were so excited about this concert, even a year and a half. It was 2016, I think, when we first started communicating with the people from the orchestra. And when they said it was going to be a concert for kids and it was for autism awareness, we jumped on it. We were super excited because a lot of times the concerts Jacobs will perform with orchestras, the crowd tends to be a little bit older. So this was totally different, and we just knew that this could be a really great thing. Just looking behind me and seeing so many kids, and they were really attentive and paying attention for kids. I mean, it wasn't like they were crazy running around. I mean, they were really focusing on him, and so I thought it was awesome. I wish we could do more concerts like that. And I think Jacob loved it too. He likes having kids his age, to relate to in the audience. So it was great. It was really meaningful.
I feel like all the kids could be really inspired by that, because what I want them to do most is do what they love and work the best they can. I feel like autism can make you different, and it can maybe help you be smarter. It can it makes you different, and people with autism shouldn't feel upset because they have autism. I think they should feel happy. My advice to give to people, if anyone tells me I want to play like that, I would tell them, do your best, work hard, do what you love.
I'm thrilled that we were able to introduce Jacob to the Lakeland and Polk County community, and I expect that he'll be back for more.
Jacob performs all over the country and undoubtedly has a bright future ahead of him. To keep up with Jacob's performances and what he's up to, follow him on the web at www.jacobvelasquez.com. And to keep up with the Imperial Symphony Orchestra, visit www.imperialsymphony.org. Lakeland hosted their first ever premiere of Moises El Musical at the Polk Theatre on April 21st. The show, performed entirely in Spanish, is portrayed in front of a 40-foot screen projection rather than a traditional set, allowing for real-time scene changes, split screens, and motion props like fires, animals, and moving water. The musical, directed and produced by Orlando residents, brings the story of Moses to life and follows Moses from birth up to the parting the waters of the Red Sea. Take a look at some highlights from this debut performance.
Well, I'm so happy to provide for the Spanish community that kind of performance, that kind of musical, and you can feel the love of the people and especially the love of God. That for me is very important because we are working so hard at the beginning with only 2 families, working so hard to try to bring for the community, the Spanish community, really big, huge musicals and through the art try to leave a message of hope to the people. This was the premiere, not song on the promotion because we never did it. At the final of the play, you can see the crew clapping. It was really amazing and singing the song. They hear the song for the first time in their life, and the people were singing all the standing ovation. Wow, it was really amazing. I want to say thank you so much, Diego, my partner. He's the producer, and he's my brother, my wife. She was fighting with me for the last 20 years, working with me at my side for achieve this goal. And Laura Guastela, she's the wife of Diego, the producer. We are 4 people, 2 families working so hard for the last 1 year ago. Thank you, the Polk community, because the Polk community, you can see this beautiful theater, the Polk Theatre. We did the world premiere. Right now we have to talk with a lot of people to go around the country, maybe around the world. I don't know. So thank you so much, and especially thank you, God. We're going to do a lot of shows the Moises of the Musical, we have to talk with the most important company, Latin Christian company in the world, Canción, the director of the company, the main people of the company. We're here, and right now we finished to talk with you. I have to go with them in a meeting and start to talk about the tour. So I don't know where. I think the next one will be at Orlando, but after the meeting in a few hours, we are going to know what is going to happen with Moses. But we feel, we are praying to go around the world to say to people, trust in God, trust in you, and go for your dreams.
The musical's been in development for years, and director Diego Iglesias and producer Diego Lanzi are thrilled to have finally put it on stage. The cast and crew look forward to the opportunity to someday take it on tour. For more information on the show, visit www.moiseselmusical.com. Finally, we're going to take a look at a spin on another classic story with Florida Southern College's production of Julius Caesar. Interpreted by theater professor and director Paul Bawick, this production featured an all-female cast. The year is 2025, and the public has become infatuated with a new reality TV series titled Rome, the Rehabilitation of Mankind Experiment, set in the country's most violent women's prison. The characters that we're all familiar with, such as Caesar and Brutus, exist within this prison, and when Caesar's killed off by two of her co-leaders, it's sensationalized for the series. Viewers are encouraged to tune into the next episode, or Act 2, to find out how their republic would survive this struggle for power. Check this out for more information on this version of Julius Caesar.
Paul Bawick did a little bit of a twist on Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare, wherein it's set in a women's prison in the year 2025. The reason why Paul did this is because he really wanted to see women in empowering roles that William Shakespeare had created in Julius Caesar. I think the first words out of my mouth was, "That's my show!" I was super excited. I love Shakespeare. I've gotten to do Shakespeare here at Florida Southern before, so it just made me so excited. And I think it's a good opportunity because women don't really have a lot of roles in theater. But big, powerful roles in Shakespearean theater, at least. So to be able to flip-flop this show and make it gender swapped it's just so exciting because you get to put yourself in these positions that you would never be able to play anywhere else. There's no chance. I just think that being a powerhouse character is so important to me personally. And even if I wasn't the powerhouse character, I'd be holding my knife in the background, just ready to swipe down anyone in my way. So I just thought it was so fun. I find that, women can be powerful just like men can be in the fact that they are very stoic. Like my character, Marcus Brutus, I had to find a way for her to be stoic, but in a environment surrounded by women, not men. So like if a woman was tough in front of other men, it'd be very different than if she was tough around a group of women that she knew. Caius Cassius is a character full of contradictions. A lot goes through Caius's head. The character thinks so much and always has a plan. She has an objective in every sentence that she has. So that intensity comes from what decision she's about to make. And whether that be, I'm going to trick you into thinking that you're the best person in this whole prison, or if that's really convincing, like, hey, like you are the
best in this prison? Why is Caesar so high and mighty when you're just as good? So it's kind of like figuring out those contradictions in Caius's emotions and figuring out which ones are his snaky character or which ones are real, and figuring that out and then just pushing it all the way through to get the audience to notice that.
Well, honor is the subject of my story. I cannot tell what you and others shall think of this life, but for my single self, I had as lief not be as live to be in awe of such a thing as I myself. I was born free as Caesar. So were you. We both have fed as well, and we can both endure the winter's cold as well as she. And this woman has now become a god, and Cassius a wretched creature, and must bend my body as Caesar carelessly but nod at me. Caesar had a fever once, and when that fit was on her, I did mark how she did shake. 'Tis true, this god did shake. Her coward lips did from their color fly, and that same eye whose bend doth all the world did lose its luster. I did hear her groan, aye, and that tongue that bade the Romans, mark me, write my speeches in their books. Alas, it cried, give me some drink, Titinius, as a sick girl. Ye gods, it doth amaze me that such a feeble temper should so give the start of our majestic world and bear the palm alone.
It was difficult because, you don't typically see Marcus Brutus played by a woman in a women's prison. So you had to really do a lot of research about what it's like to be in a women's prison, what life is like for women to engage with other women who are, criminals and, violent. And it's a lot of work because it takes a lot of research and stuff. But also, I am a woman, so I know what it's like to, incorporate a woman's perspective on a male role. Thankfully, our dramaturg, James, he is really good at his job. And so basically he gave us all this information when we first started rehearsals and different links to articles that were written and interpreted by people who lived in women's prisons or in prison life for a significant amount of time, who engaged in crimes and in violence and experienced and witnessed these, firsthand.
I looked a lot into some firsthand accounts of people who had been in prisons and their experiences there and what they felt like the environment did for them internally. And I also looked into some academic works on how people in prisons function, how it works as a social group and how it affects political dynamics and the group dynamics that happen in there.
We had a lot of information from him to incorporate into our characters and kind of get a little bit of inspiration as to why we were in prison, some of our characteristics as characters, as individuals, maybe giving us reasons as to why we were in prison in the first place, what brought us here. And yeah, we even did a little activity towards the beginning of our rehearsal where we literally, before we even started blocking anything, just sat down and had to basically come up with a backstory of our characters, whether you were a plebeian, whether you were ensemble, or you were Marcus Brutus or Julius Caesar. We had to all come up with backstories for our characters.
Let's be sacrificers, but not butchers, Caius. We all stand up against the spirit of Caesar. And in the spirit, there is no blood. That we could come by Caesar's spirit and not dismember Caesar, but alas, she must bleed for it. And gentle friends, let's kill her boldly, but not wrathfully. Let's carve her as a dish fit for the gods, not hew her as a carcass fit for hounds. And as for Mark Antony, do not think of her. For she can do no more than Caesar's arm when Caesar's head is cut off. Yet I fear her, for in the engrafted love she bears to Caesar. Alas, good Cassius, do not think on it. If she loves Caesar, all Antony can do is to herself. Take thought and die for Caesar.
and given to wildness and much company.
There is no fear she will live and laugh with us hereafter.
I've worked with a lot of big casts before, but very rarely have I ever worked with a cast of just all women.
It's been an experience where I've been able to say, like, I have been in a show where women have ruled. Like, it's a good feeling to know that all of the leads are women. Everybody in the show is women, and we've been able to take over the Buckner Theater and show what we have.
It's good at showing that women can be powerful political figures and that they have no less complexity of motivation or complexity of action than any other people would.
Even modern shows today, a lot of them are based on men and female, counterbalancing out in plays, but this has been given us the experience to work with all of the women in the department and work together. It's been an honor. I think that's what I'm getting at. It's been an honor to work with only women in a show for once.
Florida Southern College has ended their fine arts season with summer on the way, but stay tuned to www.flsouthern.edu for more information on their 2018-2019 Fine Arts Series. That's all I have for this month, but there's always plenty going on within our Polk County art scene. Stay tuned for a list of art events in your area. As always, thank you for joining me, and tune in next time for more art out and about.